This is how you lose weight. Coach Barrick here, Equity Podcast, giving you tools to be fit for life. So, losing weight is super beneficial for confidence, for feeling good in your own body, for health reasons, to help prevent chronic disease. Dropping your weight can be very, very helpful. And we're going to talk about why you're not losing weight and how to do it. The first thing is we need to talk about principles. We need to talk about the foundations. And these are the three things that we focus on at Equity to make sure we're doing all the things that we need to in order to lose weight and to keep it off. We want sustainable habits. So what we want to focus on are single ingredient foods, real whole food, all right? Real whole food. Then we want to limit processed and added sugar. Those things aren't necessarily bad. However, they are very highly palatable and it's very easy to overeat on those things. And they're very calorically dense, but they don't fill you up. So you're just going to keep eating. So we want to limit them as much as we want. And then finally, whenever we're eating a meal, we want to try and eat a balanced meal of protein, carbohydrates, and fat. All our meals should contain all three of those nutrients, those macronutrients. And how we usually do that is through the plate method. A quarter of your plate is a lean protein, a quarter of your plate is a starchy vegetable, and then half of your plate is a non-starchy vegetable. So those are the principles. Those are the foundations we use in our nutrition coaching program. Now, why aren't you losing weight? Why are we gaining weight or not able to lose it? The answer is you're eating too much or drinking too much. And it's that simple. If you are consuming less than you're burning, you're going to lose weight. Now, yes, that's simple, but there's some things that we can do to help make sure that we are going to be more likely to succeed, right? So the first one is we need to make sure we're in a calorie deficit. And that might start with tracking. If you have a salad every single day for every meal, and then Friday through Sunday, you just throw 3 sheets to the wind and you're just eating all the things, it doesn't matter if you're eating 1,000 calories per day, and then you change that and now you're eating 3,000 to 4,000 a day for 3 days. You killed all of those results. So what we want is consistency. One of the ways to think about this is instead of thinking of a daily goal, which daily goals can be super successful. Hey, every day I'm going to eat 2,300 calories. That can be great. Another way to think about this is a weekly goal. Hey, every week I'm going to get I'm going to get so many calories. So let's say 2 times 7 is 4. So 22,000 times 7 is 14,000, right? So let's just round that up to, we'll say 17,000. We're going to have 17,000 calories in the week, right? And this is going to change depending on you individual. Let's just use this as an example. 17,000 for the week. Each day you just subtract, oh, I hit 2,000 this day, I hit 2,000 this day, I hit 2,000 this day. And now you built up a little bit of buffer for that Saturday night when you're going to go out with your significant other. And now you can have a 3,000 calorie day. And then Sunday we have another 2,000, right? So we can use those calories up in a week versus a day. What we see is when people really starve themselves or don't eat enough in the early parts of the week, it just goes off the rails because they're so hungry because they weren't eating enough. We want to make sure we're hitting a calorie deficit, but that doesn't mean we need to be going crazy. We don't need to be going from 2,000 calories to 1,000. We need to go from 2,000 to 1,800, right? We need to pull that back just a little bit. So caloric deficit is the first thing we need to make sure we're doing. The next thing is we need to lift weights. The reason we need to lift weights, or the reason that this is going to help us more, is because we're going to be building lean muscle mass. Muscle requires energy. Muscles require calories. They need calories to work, right? So muscles burn calories, whereas fat stores calories, right? So if we build muscle, if we build our lean muscle mass, we're going to be able to burn more calories. We're going to be able to use that up, and we'll increase our metabolism. We want to be able to lift weights. Muscle burns calories, and then also it's going to help us with our health, so we can do all the things that we want to do in life. We can sit on the floor, walk up the steps, pick up the bag of dog food, and do all the things that we want to do. The next one is NEAT. We want to do NEAT activities. So offhand, I don't remember what NEAT stands for, but it's things that you do every day. Going for a walk, right? If you at work you park as close as possible versus parking in the back of the parking lot, and if you do that every day, you're walking to and from, like, you're getting extra movement into your day. If you sit on the floor and when you're watching TV, you're going to actually be moving more because it's slightly uncomfortable. You're going to be fidgeting, right? And just that little fidgeting is going to burn a little bit more, right? Taking the steps instead of the escalator or the elevator. Find ways to get movement into your day, no matter what you're doing. Standing desk for periods of time, right? There's lots of ways to squeeze those little things into your day. And then finally, it's consistency. The biggest issue that we see in the nutrition coaching side of things is that people struggle with the consistency. They can do it for a week, maybe 2 weeks, or they can do it in the beginning of the week, but they can't do it at the end of the week, or they can't do those last 2 weeks. It's the consistency, it's the accountability, and having support. Those are the things that are missing. And we want the consistency so that we can see those results over long periods of time. And we want sustainable results. But when you're getting started, when you're in the beginning of that journey, it's so easy to get derailed. Having somebody there to help you along that journey is so much easier. That's why coming to a gym that does group classes, it makes working out easier because you're doing it with somebody else. Same thing with nutrition. Having that accountability, having that support is going to help you be more consistent. Because if you do this 90% of the time, but that 10% that you don't do nutrition and it just completely goes off the rails, that just throws away all of it. We need to be consistent and constantly doing this so that we can live the life that we want later down the road, right? And it's going to be hard, but that's good, because everything worthwhile is uphill. Everything worthwhile is hard. If it wasn't hard, it wouldn't be worth it. So stick to the principles, stick to the foundations. Single ingredient food, limit added sugar and processed foods, eat balanced meals. And then if you were not losing weight with those three, then we start talking about the other things. Hey, making sure you're hitting a calorie deficit. There's a lot of different ways to do that. Making sure that we're lifting weights, we're working on our strength. Making sure we're working on our NEAT movements. We're getting more non-exercise, that's what it stands for, non-exercise something, non-exercise movements in our life. And then making sure we're doing these things consistently over longer periods of time. And that is how we get results. It's not going to be flashy. It's not going to be liposuction where it's just a snap of your fingers and all of a sudden you're lighter. It's going to take work, and it's going to be worth it. If you think this might help somebody, please share it with them. We just want more happy, healthy people in the world. Cheers.